So this part of the course deals with management skills, and it's essentially trying to ask what skills do good managers have, which is like a really open-ended question. There could be any skill you could talk about here, because every person's different, everyone manages in their different ways. But the course, the study design, says there's these six. So we're just going to limit ourselves to those and talk about those in relation to different managers. And they are communication, delegation, planning, leading, decision making, and interpersonal skills. And the whole point of this topic is just to look at different people, different managers, and go, some managers use this skill more than others, or maybe they use it a different way than another manager. And yeah, it's not like we're saying every manager has to have each of these skills and be awesome at all of them. They just need to have some of them, and we need to talk about that in our responses. So if we were to look at two different sports players, for example, let's take LeBron James and look at the skills that he has. So we could say, in terms of like overall, very good communicator with his teammates, great leader, makes great decisions, and seems to have really good interpersonal skills, but not a great delegator. So just in the way he plays, like he dribbles the ball for 20 seconds of every possession, doesn't hand over a lot of responsibility to other people. But he's still, a really great player. But we look at Michael Jordan and we go, communication, if you've seen The Last Dance, not a good communicator with his teammates and doesn't delegate at all, wants to always have the ball in his hands, but a great leader, makes great decisions, but again, doesn't have great interpersonal skills. But he's still a great player. He just does it in a different way to LeBron James. Well, obviously, what we want to do is focus on managers. So let's take a couple of famous ones. Let's take Mark Zuckerberg. And he's got different strengths and weaknesses. So we could say communication, he's not a great communicator. So if you look at the launch for the metaverse, it's pretty awkward, not great. It's not really his thing. However, he is a great delegator. He knows he can't make the metaverse on his own, so that's been delegated to other teams. And also, since the early days of Facebook, he's handed over responsibility for doing a lot of things to other people. He's a great planner, even though people are sort of laughing at the metaverse at this point. It's like a long-term thing. He's not saying this is going to be awesome now. He's saying this is going to be awesome in a few years. Let's plan to make that happen. Leader, he's a great leader in his own way. He's not a vocal leader, but he sets a great example. And you'd have to, looking at it long term, say pretty much most of the decisions he's made have been really good and have benefited Facebook in the long term. But again, not great interpersonal skills, at least from the outside, it doesn't seem that way. And then let's take a look at another person, Elon Musk, who's obviously been huge in the news through 2021 and 2022, taking over Twitter and so on. Not a great communicator. I think he thinks he is, but yeah, he comes across as pretty awkward and direct and very abrupt. Doesn't seem to be a great delegator. So if you look at the Twitter takeover, he's actually decided to resign as the CEO, but he still wants to work with the coding team and take care of all that stuff. So you wouldn't see many owners of businesses sort of doing a task like that. And just because he's not a great delegator, he likes to take on the responsibility himself. Planning, again, you could argue lately not going well, but if you take a step back 20 years with the whole electric cars Tesla thing, great plans. He set great plans in place a long time ago, so that's why Tesla dominates electric cars now. And whether you think he's a good leader or a bad leader, he certainly is a leader. He sets a pretty good example until recently anyway, you can maybe argue. But yeah, he sets, particularly with the space thing going to Mars, he's setting a great example for people to follow. Decision making, makes pretty good decisions in the long term. Maybe in the short term there's a few problems with Twitter, but give it time. We'll see whether those decisions work out. And lastly, interpersonal skills. So yeah, that's gone really badly, particularly when he's tweeting at the moment. It doesn't seem to be going very well, and also a lot of people are leaving Twitter, which would suggest maybe his management style and his skills, he's a bit abrupt. The point is, every manager uses a range of skills. These are the six we're going to talk about, and it doesn't matter whether you're a supervisor, maybe just a manager of a department or a team or a CEO, you're going to use all of these skills. I guess we're just saying sometimes, depending on the role you do, you'll use some more than others. So if you're a supervisor of a team in a shop, say, you're going to need to communicate and use interpersonal skills with your team every day. If you're a manager of an entire department, you're going to need to delegate more than someone who's a supervisor would. You're also going to need to do more planning. And if you're a CEO in charge of a whole business, well, pretty much most of your job is planning, leading, and making decisions. So different managers use different skills, but I think the point of this topic is saying that every manager uses these skills. Some do it better than others, and some maybe do it in different ways. So two managers might be effective communicators, but one might do it using one-way communication, and one might do it using two-way communication. So what we're going to do now is just go through each of these skills one by one, and see how they relate to the management styles that we studied earlier.